and welcome to episode 7 of Dynamically Spoken with Rowan and Stephen, as always. Today we're going to be talking, following on from our last episode where we reviewed the Head Start, and we're going to be going more in depth with sort of the later game content. You may have noticed that we've now moved to video format on YouTube in sparkling HD, and we're going to be showing game footage and other little bits that we think might interest you. Today you're going to be watching the me exploring the Iron Marches, which is a level 50 to 60 area, and if you're not up to there yet and you maybe don't want to see that, then we do have an audio only version which you can listen to. So today's guest speaker is Ali once again. Say hey, Ali.
Hello.
And if you want to become a guest speaker on the next episode, all you've got to do is go to guildmag.com/involved. Right, so let's get on with the show then. What's everyone been doing since last episode? What sort of level are you up to?
Well, I'll start first since I guess I'm the noob now. Right. I switched from the Necromancer. I stopped at about level 40 some odd, and I rolled the Thief briefly. I pretty much know that the Thief is for me, so I'm probably gonna keep that. And right now, my highest level character is an Elementalist. You know, as you can see, I like the Thief the most, so I stopped playing it. It totally makes sense. So my Elementalist is a level 52 now, so I am the noob.
Yeah, you are.
Yep. And
by 10 levels.
Are you 62?
Yep.
Wow. And I just finished the Dreadnought area. I started doing the area with I forgot, it's the human, south of the human area. I forgot what it's called. Damn it.
Caledon Forest? Or is it the high level Sparkfly Fen and Bloodtide Coast?
Exactly what Ali said. And I just, for some reason, I think I'm starting to like the frozen Canadian look, as Ali referenced it, of that area. It just seems peaceful, you know. When you go to the place where you're fighting the centaurs, it's a lot more action.
Yeah.
So if you like action, definitely go to like the more human designated areas. There's just a lot more going on. And it seems like, I don't know, there's something really serene and peaceful about it. I guess it gives you kind of time to enjoy the area. So I guess that's kind of wraps up what I've been up to. How about you, Ali?
So I've gotten to level 80. Not trying to brag or anything.
Sure.
But seriously, in this game, it's not such a big thing. I mean, when you get to level 80, it's not the be-all and end-all. There's a lot in the game I still haven't done, but I think lately I've been really doing ore as much as I can. I've completed the first and second area except for a bugged skill point, which is a source of endless annoyance to me. I think I go and check that spot like maybe once or twice every time I go on, like just randomly to see if it's been fixed. Yeah, I've just been exploring ore, and ore is a very lore-friendly environment, so I've been trying to discover every nook and cranny. And I tell you what, ore is a great place. You know, I really enjoy ore because it's such action-packed. Like, it really feels like you're in a war because you cannot move anywhere for like 100 undead zerging you, and you're fighting for your life every second, and like a lot of times it's like a 50-50 chance whether you're going to make it to the next area, especially if you're by yourself. And there's a lot of cool gathering and loot and interesting things there, so I've really been investing a lot of time in all. Oh, and I should probably say that I killed Vitan! Yay!
Oh. Dun, 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 dun.
I know I should get a fanfare or something.
The horn has been retired. For now.
What have you done with them? Are they in the bin, or have you still got them?
Yeah, it's right over there. I'm staring at it. It's looking at me. It wants its spotlight, but
You're gonna say it properly this time.
Oh yeah. Vuvuzela.
Alright, so this week ArenaNet released a blog post about Endgame, which has been a source of pretty heated discussion sometimes, I think it's fair to say. There have been complaints sort of about once you reach level 80, some say the fun stops, and others are sort of saying it's where it begins really. People say it stops, like there's no more character progression because obviously you've spent all your traits. Once your personal story's over, that's it. Once you've 100% in an area, you don't generally go back because there's not a lot to do. And for me, I mean, yeah, I'm kind of more towards that side because although obviously I can't comment fully because I'm not level 80 yet, but from what I have seen and what I already know about the game, I do think there's somewhat a lack of endgame, but not so much that it's a bad thing. I don't know how to describe what I mean. I think it's not a traditional endgame, and that's what's getting some people, you know, on that side. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because I mean, there's still loads of things you can do, and Arena have already said that they're working on, you know, next content expansions and stuff, which is undoubtedly going to bring more things for people who are at endgame to do. But I mean, before then, you can still go and do structure PvP, world v world, all the explorable mode dungeons, which all have sort of 3 or more paths that you can go on like at one time. And then, you know, on top of that, there's all the gear that comes with dungeons and crafting. And so yeah, I think there's still plenty to do. And of course, you can always stop playing anytime you want because it is subscription free, and then, you know, pick it up again if, say, the new expansion comes out, or, you know, just whenever you feel like playing it. So I mean, I don't know what you guys think about Endgame.
I mean, I'll chime in briefly just because I think Ali is the expert in the matter, so
Yeah.
it should, you know, be good for her
Yeah.
to wrap it up. And I think a lot of times, you know, like a lot of people said this about like SWTOR, is when you reach Endgame, like the game totally changes. You know, you're used to this idea of, you know, you play the game, you're doing leveling, and then you hit the end, and it's just a totally different game. And maybe some people find that attractive, and some people don't. If you think about it, the gear grind is still there. You know, again, it's not stat based, but it's, you know, like you say, when you get money, when you get rich, like, you know, you want to look good. That's kind of like the way it is in real life. You know, when everybody gets money and they're rich, you know, they want to go. And they want to look good. They want to buy nice clothes, get a nice house, nice car, things like that. And that's kind of the way this game is. But the great thing about it, I mean, I think the thing that I really like is you can kind of do whatever you want to get that. So if you find a certain area or way, let's say you like WVW, you can do that. You know, SPVP I think is a separate entity because it's almost completely self-contained. But as far as like, you know, okay, I just want to grind, you know, do a lot of WW, you'll get the XP to get the skill points to invest in the Mystic Forge to get the nice stuff, and you get gold and all that stuff that you need. Also, I think a really, you know, if you like some of the dynamic events, you can go that way. I guess you could say there is a vacuum for the Explorer, where if a person wants to continue exploring and get you know, experience that way, it's kind of limited, and I guess that's just the nature of, you know, of you can't have an infinitely. It's not like Minecraft where you can infinitely generate things, and, you know, because this game is so detailed. So, you know, maybe depending on our feedback, maybe they might invest in that. But I think that's kind of the real different thing. Like, I don't feel compulsed to play Guild Wars 2. Like, I have to.
No.
And for, I guess, the people, you know, and I was talking to my friend about it. I'm sorry I'm rambling as usual, but, you know, it's like a lot of people felt like they weren't even having fun when they would play other games because they were doing the gear grind because they had to, you know? And there was that fun aspect taken out of it. But I guess some people, they may need that. Like, that's might be what they need. And maybe if you feel that way, maybe this game isn't the game for you, because it doesn't have that compulsory, like, I have to do this one specific thing. It doesn't focus you. It doesn't say you have to do this one specific thing to get this gear. And maybe when some people, when they like that more directed approach, maybe, you know, the open-ended end game of Guild Wars 2 might not be suitable for them. So it could be something for people to consider if they're in the right game.
Yeah, so what I've discovered is that, I've got a lot of friends who talk like that, obviously having experience from either WoW or other things, and I honestly think it's um, not being accustomed to something different, and it's because it's different you assume that it's wrong. Personally speaking, I've never really enjoyed that sort of end game, and I'm the sort of person who likes to pick and choose from a billion little things and change my whims very quickly, and go to one thing and go to another thing. And I find myself doing this a lot at endgame. One thing I have to say is I rushed to level 80 was simply because I didn't want to be limited. It wasn't anything else but other than like I didn't like the fact that there was areas I couldn't go to. I didn't like the fact that someone told me there was a cool a lore thing over here and I couldn't get to it. So that's kind of the reason I kind of rushed to level 80. But now that I'm at level 80, and I would say that I'm sort of at endgame, sort of. I really don't think that word applies to this game, but I find myself going, okay, I'm in ore, I'm trying to farm nodes. I want nodes to continue my crafting. I get really bored of always being zerged by these undead zombies. So I decide to go back to a lower area and do a little bit more of my map. And when I get really sick of that, I decide, I'll go and do some crafting. I need to go make some more Om berry bars or something like that. And when I get bored of that, I go, well, I should really have World versus World for my monthly. I should really go and do that. So I go and play World versus World for a while, and then I get sick of that, and I move on to creating pretty armor. Like the other day, I spent probably about in total 5 to 6 hours choosing which armor I liked the look of, and then crafting exotic armor with my tailoring, and then changing the look of my human cultural armor to that, and spending time making myself looking really pretty and all that sort of thing. So, you know, I'm just like, I don't know how long I spent on that, but I've just listed a ton of things that you can do. And I think that people have their mindset on endgame is this and it should only be this, and if it isn't this, it's wrong. Well, in this game, endgame is a lot of different things.
Yeah, and I think like Ali really hits the point really well. I think it sounds like the game is perfect for you. I mean, just what you're saying. It's like that is the character progression. Yeah, there isn't like a designated story or anything like that. But I mean, if we really think about it, like when people talk about character progression, they're talking about is there really any story at Endgame? You know what I mean? Like when you go to Endgame, it's like you see a cool monster for the first time, but then after that, it's just the same thing over and over again on rinse and repeat. So at that point in time, I don't think anybody's saying, "Ooh, look, it's like a cool new story." It isn't. It's it's limited. But I think like that really is the character progression. Like making your character look exactly how you want. That's how you progress your character. And there definitely is a huge time sink in that, like getting this gear. That's it's if you think about it, it is kind of the same, where it is a gear grind at the end. But again, it's not a gear grind that you have to do to be competitive, or that you say, oh, I need this gear in order to do this content. So I think people who enjoy being able to do what they want whenever they want, getting to level 80 quickly is a good thing for them. And now, what do you think about like? Are you have you thought about other professions or the replayability of content?
That's something I was gonna bring up.
Yeah, absolutely. Like now that you say it, I've actually got 5 different characters, and I've been playing them. And about the storyline, when you said when you said characteristics, and I was thinking personal story, it actually stops, and I was really sad that it stopped at the end, but it kind of has to stop eventually. But then all I did was I switched over to my Azura. And someone told me, I think it was you who told me the Azura storyline was really funny or really interesting. So I swap over to my Azura and finish her storyline, and then I swap over to my human thief, and I do all the human choices that I didn't choose last time. And so, like, you know, a lot of people don't like to play alts, but there is a major like wealth of diversity and new content by playing a new character. And you know, learning a new profession to me is a lot of fun. So, you know, I'm sure other people also find learning a new profession just as fun.
I think the amount of choices available for each like along the way on your personal story is, I don't think the term like alts and main can really apply to Guild Wars 2 anymore, because for me at least, I don't see myself having one particular character later on when I've got more that I'm going to enjoy or play more than any others, because of how different and how, I don't know. You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like you're not going to choose one. You're just going to choose whatever you feel like playing more.
Yeah, because obviously now you don't need to have like a particular profession or anything to do whatever you want to do.
And it comes into that gear grind again. You know, once you do reach max level, you can do anything. You're not going to be limited because you don't have proper gear. And you know, and a lot of people, they kind of talk about, you know, wanting to feel powerful, and when they can go down to a lower level and just like one shot stuff, it makes them feel powerful and strong. And I mean, I guess I could see that sorta, but when I went down to a lower level and things are still engaging, like, to me that is powerful. You know, it's like I was really having like it was like a connection moment for me yesterday, believe it or not, when I just, you know, I felt powerful because of the fact that when you go down to it, it's a little bit easier, so you do feel powerful, like things fall quicker, but it's not where it's so trivial that you just feel like it's a waste of time. And so I think, like, you know, going down to the lower, and also you can, like, people look at your gear and like, oh, you look cooler than everybody else, you know, it's so it's like you could still be like noticed that way, where, like, you know, but I really feel that it's like that's when you feel powerful. You know, that's when you feel, because I don't know, I really can't explain. I'm at the same like kind of loss of words with it.
Well, actually, on that point, I actually felt my character progression with my armor, which was tailoring armor. Is beautiful. At one point, I remember when I first saw Guild Wars, there was one armor set that I absolutely loved. It had sort of like the pixie wings. I guarantee any girl who's listening will know exactly which one I'm talking about, because it's so pretty. Little pixie wings, and it was all beautiful and looked like a fairy. And I didn't realize it, but you could actually get it in your tailoring. And once I got that armor, I was just so happy, and I decked out my whole character with this armor, and I was just really proud of myself. I felt like my character had progressed. But on top of that, you know, often in the city I would get people, or out about, people go, I really love your armor, what armor type is that? And, you know, to me that was character progression. You know, you can get to level 80 in, you know, subpar, you know, normal looking armor, but when you get the cultural armors, or when you get the special tailoring armor that's only available to this certain level tailors, I think that's a really great feeling that sometimes people miss out on when they're just trying to get to level 80.
Yeah. Just on that note, anyone's watching the video right now on YouTube, just ignore all the gear that I'm wearing, because I have spent no time trying to look pretty. You'll see what I mean when you watch this back. But
so yeah, like, I think you know, tips for all you guys out there: if you want to get conversations going with the ladies, make sure to go for the pixie wing armor. Allie, if you could link it, this way some of our eligible bachelors out there can rock some pixie wing armors and maybe get strike some conversations with the ladies.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Allie's taken, by the way, so nobody can.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, you know what? There's a funny story. I have a cat. I don't know if this will make it to the final cut, but my husband said to me the other day, you know what, I love you more than you love Guild Wars, and that actually meant something to me.
Okay, let's move on then.
Awkward bomb.
Something I want to talk about is dungeon difficulty, because I've done the first 4 on story mode, and I think the Catacombs and Sorrow's Embrace for me were the hardest out of them. And some people think they're a little bit too hard, but I actually kind of embrace that challenge. And I don't know, I don't think they're particularly... If you work together as a team, which we did down in Sorrow's Embrace, and if anyone's done it, you'll know that Mark F4 Golem is just horrible to kill, because it's fire and projectiles everywhere and everyone's dying, and if you don't know what you're doing, which we didn't to begin with, you will just wipe a couple of times, and have a good gold handy for repairs. And so if you all sort of learn to work together, we learned to take, well, I had to take sort of 3 projectile walls, and everyone just sort of clumped together and got behind them. And once we learned to do that, actually, I don't think anyone died for the entire time we were going at the golem. So I think it's definitely great for encouraging team play.
Yeah, I think definitely. Like, first of all, like, you can kind of agree with some people, because like Ascalonian Catacombs is probably one of the harder dungeons.
Yeah, and especially as the first one.
Yeah, and it's the first, so that might have set people on the wrong path. So they experience that, and they're like, "Geez, this is terrible." And a lot of, because when you think about it, other games, you basically learn the mechanics of the boss and then you exploit it, and you keep doing it the same thing over and over again. And that doesn't happen so much with Guild Wars. It's more about like a normal, like you're fighting. I guess there's no in particular mechanics. It's more about like how you react as a team, and there's certain things like when people say, "Oh, there's no healing and there's no this and that," and it's frustrating. There's 2 ways to quote unquote heal yourself. One is to give stuff that adds to your health, and the other is to mitigate the damage. So when a burst is coming out from the boss, like protection and weakness are critically important. A lot of people say, "Oh, the game is spammable. You just spam the abilities." See, that's, if you take that approach, then it might not work for you. So it's critically important, like Rowan said, just to use your abilities when they're required. If or there's some tailor, and unfortunately, you're going to need to communicate. Pugging is for story. If you want to do Explorer, it's I don't know if it's going to be able to do that, because the game is dynamic. The reason why you could pug a lot of difficult content in other games is because people have experienced the content and they know how to rinse and repeat it. So they understand. You basically say, "Okay, guys, you just have to do this," and then that's how you do it, and it becomes trivial. So some people might like that, where they can grab a pug and do the hard mode stuff and grind their gear, and some people might not like that. They don't like the fact that it repeats. So again, it's just the choices that you make, whether you're going to want to play this particular game or not, or you're going to go into that content or find other ways to get your stuff that you want, like the gear and stuff. So I think knowing when to use, like, and this just to reiterate, just knowing when to use your protections, your knockdowns, and things like that are critically important to go through a dungeon. And that's kind of like us getting used to playing like this, so to speak. And maybe, Ali, since you probably experienced more of the content, if you have any other insights?
It would probably just be communication. I mean, so many times I've seen people just run into an area and kind of pull everyone else in, and you need to be considerate and have a plan, especially with Explorable. A lot of people forget that Explorables are meant to be for level 80 endgame, for getting the armors that you like, and you need quite a lot, and especially for Legendaries, so they're expecting quite experienced players to be coming into these Explorables. So I think research beforehand is necessary.
And it's also pretty cool, because you look on the forums and some people are complaining about the skill level and stuff, but a lot of people are taking the point of view where we like this, that it's difficult.
Yeah, I really like it.
And it seems, thankfully, like we're in like a paradigm shift of games, where a lot of times games are just getting easier and more streamlined, where you would just like once you die, it would move you like a minute before, and you would just keep going. So it was like this kind of this push progression where you'd be pushed through the content. Where this, you have to take your steps, you have to make your decisions, and you have to put forth effort. It's not like where you're just basically can finish things. It's like, what are you gonna do to finish things? Which I think, thankfully, it seems like games are going along this shift up where people like the harder content. So I think it's good.
I think it's such a great feeling once you get past the really difficult bit and you think, you know what, I did that. It was down to me and my skill that got, and well, not just mine alone, but you know what I mean. Every individual person skill that got us through that, and I think it's a nice rewarding feeling.
Yeah, and I just want to go in. Sorry to cut you off, but I just want to go into about like there's a vista in Dreadnought, the Dreadnought zone that's inside where the jeez, I forgot the name. What is the name of the blind mole people? Dredge, thank you. In the Dredge area. So basically, you go into that area, and there's a vista all the way on the top. And let me tell you something. I was pulling my hair out to get to this thing. And they troll you too. ArenaNet trolls you because you go up the whole scaffolding to get there, and you get to like where literally you're within 5 feet of the platform to get this thing, and there's like a cross section. So picture like a cross wooden platform, and it's like leaned up, so you can't reach it. So you can't make the jump.
I know the one you're talking about.
Oh yeah, and like it's the most frustrating thing. And like, but once you get it, it's awesome because you can stand on top of that tilting platform and laugh at all the people that are down there. Like it's like, how do you do this? And I'm like, oh, it took me a couple hours. And he's like, oh god, this is really frustrating. I'm like, yeah, it stinks, but like when I'm up here and I can laugh at you being down there, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's the same with jumping puzzles. A lot of people try and, well, in my experience, they try and help. They're like, oh, come this way, or if there's a lot of people there, you can see which way they've gone. Personally, I don't enjoy that. I prefer a jumping puzzle to be, if I can, I'll go on off times because I want to discover it for myself. I want to, feel that feeling of this was really tough, and I did this for like the last 2 hours, but I just did that, and I've got only me to thank for that.
Okay, move on again then. We were talking about crafting a little bit before, and I think Ali mentioned to us before the show that there's a post on Guild Wars 2 Guru all about crafting your legendaries. So do you want to just talk us a little bit through that?
Yeah, so like very recently, there was almost no information on legendaries. It was kind of all hearsay, and I was a bit surprised because I know the Guild Wars 2 community is like a lot more proactive than this, but they delivered, and I was a lot more information than I expected. They pretty much gave out all the recipes and all the things that you need to be done, and all the information is updated along with pictures, so you can actually see what the legendaries look like. And they're amazing. And one thing to note is that a lot of people are like, oh, the stats are bad. Am I meant to work my ass off for, these bad stats? It's actually not about the stats. It's about the prestige of getting these items and the really cool look. And trust me, there will be a prestige when you get these items, because these items are insanely hard to get. It's not even a 1 month thing. It's when you decide to wholeheartedly do it, it would probably take you 6 months, unless you play 6 hours a day, or you're amazing. So for example, the one I'm going for is the staff, and that one, these are just some of the hard things. You need to have 4 items, and each of these 4 items are made up of smaller items, and some of the most difficult things on there are 500 shards of Zytan, which is, you know how you get the little tokens every time you finish an explorable? Well, you need to get 500 of them. You also need to get
500?
100. Well, I think a run is about 14, so do the math.
Yeah, let's get the calculator.
'Cause I hate math. Icy runestones, which are, you can buy them from a vendor for 1 gold, and you need 100 of them. So a minimum, this is 100 gold. Also, another hard one is the 200 skill points for a bloodstone shard. 250 obsidian shards, which are 2,100 karma each. 500 badges of honor for a gift of battle, so that's world versus world.
Oh wow, and it has a double rainbow on it too, the Bifrost.
It's very pretty. Yeah. It's beautiful. The other one, I originally planned to get the Dreamer, which is like, we've all heard this one, it's the unicorn rainbow short bow. I really, really wanted it. But since my Ellie, my main, the one that I really enjoy playing, I thought the first one I should get was probably a staff. But yeah, so if you haven't seen Legendaries, definitely check it out and just look at the recipes, and I would kind of think about what you want to do now, because it's not something that you can just decide in 2 seconds, and you often a lot of the stuff is things that you pick up but you just sell on, and it's probably a lot better to like look at it now and kind of see what things are common and stockpile those things.
Oh wow, yeah. Some really cool looking stuff. I really haven't looked at this before, so thank you.
No, neither have I.
It was really, I was so happy when I saw it, because I've been looking out for this stuff for a while, because I kind of want to get started now. You know, there's little things like 250 unidentified dies, and I love dies, so I identify all of them. So now that I know that it's in there, I'm starting to, you know, open one, save one, open one, save one.
Oh wow, the scepter looks really cool. I don't know if any of you guys seen that one yet. It's called
the
Meteorologicus.
Yeah. Apparently it revolves.
Does it really?
Apparently it has its own animations.
Oh my god.
Apparently all of them are meant to have their own animations.
I want. Now, when you get a legendary, does it bind to your character?
Yep. Yeah, it's soul-bound on use. So you can sell them, but once you use them, that's it. You better keep them.
There was also stuff happening with the Mystic Forge, I think.
Yes, did you want me to talk about that?
Yeah.
So in the Mystic Forge, I think basically ArenaNet realized that they've kind of given out too many butters. And because I think they overcompensated when they took the butter from the vendor, and now there's a lot of butters, and there's a lot of other crafting materials, and they kind of want to take it out of the system. So they've done this temporary recipe where if you put 500 of any node plus an ecto plus a mystic coin, you'll get a mystic box. And that will give you all sorts of random little things, but there's actually items that are a random rare drop from these boxes. And if you get 4 of the right ones, you can actually make these a mystic node and a mystic conduit. Oh god, someone's gonna correct me. But basically the mystic node, if you use the materials that make a mystic node, basically it means from anywhere, for one time only, you can access the Mystic Forge. But if you buy the other one, which I'm not going to say the name of because I'm going to get it wrong, if you get that one, you can actually access the Mystic Forge unlimited from anywhere in the world. And as soon as I heard that, I spent all my money to get one. I think at the moment they're about 3 gold, 98 silver, something around that. And yes, and I don't know if the price is going up or down. They should be going down, but and they're really very useful. I quite like them because just little things like I was in the middle of ore and it cost 3 silver to get back to Lion's Arch, and I needed a mystic salvaging kit. So I could do that. I could do the mystic salvaging kit in the middle of nowhere, or I got too many sigils and I wanted to combine them instead of keeping them for my inventory so long. It's very useful.
Yeah, and they also there also is a way, I don't know if there's a way to get a 250 charge salvaging kit through the Mystic Forge.
That's what I use it for.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's actually
about?
Good value. Yeah.
Okay.
It's really good value because you get 25% rarer materials plus 80% to get sigils back, and then you get 250 charges. So basically you put in 150 charges plus a forge stone, and then you get back 250 charges, all of them being of the high quality 25 rare materials, 80% to get your sigil back. It's a very good deal if you don't mind buying gems.
Thank you. I didn't. Yeah, I heard about that, and I didn't know exactly if that's what you were talking about. So that's definitely sweet. Thanks.
Another thing actually I wanted to bring up was dynamic events at later levels, because I think last episode or one of the ones before that we talked about how hopefully at high levels there'll be more to do and sort of more world changing than they are at the lower levels. I don't know, have you experienced that? Because I know the whole of Ore is just dynamic events, isn't it?
It's not as much, I guess, as people I think were hoping. But it makes a big difference. Like when I get on in the morning, I pretty much just play Ore because everyone's there, everyone's doing events, I can participate. But around my night time, there's pretty much no one there, and it all pretty much becomes impossible because all the gods' temples are taken, and then you get debuffs when the gods' temples are taken. For example, when Dwayna's temple is overrun by undead, you can't heal properly in certain areas, and that sort of thing. But I did notice that in Map Chat, a lot of people were expecting that you couldn't get basically to, or you couldn't get to places unless the area was completely cleared off. But so I think people were expecting more of an effect, but personally, as a person who plays on America's off time, I'm very thankful it's not like that.
Okay, has anyone else got anything else they want to bring up?
Oh, you guys want to do a rating? You give it a 9 out of 10, a 10 out of 10? Yeah.
Okay. Should we give it a rating then?
I mean, I guess I'll start. So we're trying to figure out like what criteria to, and I was thinking about this yesterday, what criteria to try to label the game at, what, how to try to rate it, so to speak, for other people. And again, a lot of people like to, we like to get the reviews and the ratings, and it might be better for if you want like a fact rating. It might be better to visit sites like different professional websites out there, like that'll do those kind of reviews. I'm kind of the take where with MMOs it's very difficult to rate them within the first probably 3 months, because if you rate it quickly, you might be going through the content too fast, and you're taking your initial opinion instead of developing your opinion. So I guess this rating can kind of change. One thing I think rating that will not change is graphically. I think graphically the game is a perfect score. As far as any other MMO, I've never seen a game that looks quite as unique and styled, and I can't state how much I appreciate the work that the artists at ArenaNet did to make the game look as beautiful as it does, because it's incredible. I guess the next one would be probably story, and as far as what I've had, I think the story is good. I don't think it's the best. I think SWTOR definitely had a better. I still think there is a lot of uniqueness to the story with Guild Wars. I think it's refreshing because a lot of other games are based off of the same type of lore or lore that we've previously explored before, or it's just similar, to other lore out there. And I think there is a lot of unique way to, even though it does have the traditional dragons and things like that, I think it's very unique so far of what I experienced of the way they communicate it. And the one thing I can say is, with the story quest, it's very hard to stay engaged in it because of the fact that you have to level to do it. So sometimes you might do one and the next one will be 2 or 3 levels above, so you have to stop for a few hours before you can actually go back in and play it. And I think that could kind of stop the immersion. But I do look forward to doing it. As far as the story goes, it's definitely not perfect. but I think it is really, really good. If you guys want to rate the story, I'll give it like an 8 or an 8.5. You know, and then the next thing is obviously sound. Sound is a big thing for me. I'm kind of an audiophile, and the sound in the game is amazing. There's a lot of like background noise, and not like of the bad kind. I forgot what it's called, like environmental noise. Rocks and areas like that. There's you know, you'll hear crumbling sounds, and the quality is excellent. And as you can see, you can actually adjust, you know, the quality settings, and also, you know, for us audiophiles, you can adjust the latency. So I think the sound in the game, I'm trying to think of a game that had better sound. Maybe the Battlefield series. Battlefield has incredible sound. So it's not the best, but it's really close. The sound in the game is just excellent. Probably the next thing would be to talk about the gameplay. It's definitely different and unique. I think for those who are more stand and cast, you know, traditional RPG where you're kind of stationary, or you move and cast and move and cast, this game is much more action oriented. And I don't think you could rate the actual style, because that's just a unique perception of how you feel about the way the game plays. But I think as far as the smoothness of it, I really don't have any issues with as far as how the game plays. When I play in window mode, if you go beyond the level, like if your mouse cursor goes outside of the window, you will stop moving. And if you put your mouse back in, so like let's say you're moving around and you briefly go out and come back in, you'll stop moving and you'll have to let go and press again. That might just be a limitation of the interface and how it works with our operating systems. But as far as like fluid and response, the game is excellent in that aspect. And as far as some of the quests, you know, there are a lot of bugs in the quests. You know, Ali was describing before about how like certain skill points she can't do. And I've heard from other players where certain mechanics for bosses or something like that aren't working, or I was just in another area where the same quest has been at completion state but hasn't hit the completion, so it'll say there's no whatever you have to do left, but it's still at the same area. So it is buggy, but a lot of the things are fixable. So I think the gameplay, if you'd want to give a value, I'd say 9 or 9.5 with how the game actual plays and the mechanics. I really like the short CC times. So it's not like other games where like you just cast your CC and you win, or you could stun lock people. There are a lot of stun breaks you can spec in that if you want, if you don't like being locked down. So I feel there's a lot to the game as far as substance goes, and choice, and skill. And that, of course, coincides with the gear. So I did say definitely 9.5 in that aspect. I think overall, if you have to put a rating on the game, I would say 9.25. And if you ask why I give a weird number, because I think it's better than a 9. Like 9 right now for most games is considered great. 9.5, because I automatically did, if you want to know my thinking, it's kind of weird, but I automatically deduct 0.5 off of every MMO, because MMOs are never perfect upon release. It's impossible for an MMO to be perfect upon release. So I automatically deduct 0.5 off immediately. So if I were to give it a 9.5, I would say as far as MMOs go, it's the perfect game. And I don't think it is the perfect game. I can't say that because of all the, some of the bugs and issues, and also there's some, concerns about, like you said, Endgame, things like that. That you'll have to see how they go. But that's why I want to give it a 9.25, because I think it's better than a 9, which is like considered an excellent game. I think the game is extraordinary. I think that's a good word to sum it. It's an extraordinary game. It's the way it's developed, the way it's made, the care, the completeness of the game. I think the game is extraordinary, or extraordinary, however you would want to say it. Mm-hmm. And I definitely, I went on a rant there, but I really feel strongly about how good the game is.
Yeah. I think for me, I'll keep my review pretty short. I'm gonna say 8.5 to 9 out of 10. It's a game that I definitely really enjoy playing, and even when I'm offline, I'm thinking, oh, you know, I wish I was playing it right now compared to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And in my book, it's just really fun to play. And Steve's pretty, you know, comprehensively gone over all the various aspects with which I pretty much, you know, agree with. It's just the only problem I have now. It's not really a problem. It's just I don't know if I'm going to be able to invest as much time in this as I did in Guild Wars 1, and that's only something that, you know, time will tell. So for me, 8.5 to 9 for now. Ali?
I'll just quickly say it as well because I think Steve covered it. Basically, I'm going to be a little controversial and different and do the whole Angry Joe review and judge it basically by its value for money. I mean, no game's ever going to be perfect. No game's ever, you know, it changes depending on what people like. And, you know, I know people who don't like Guild Wars, and that's totally fine. I love it. But value for money wise, are you going to like $60 and you get this massive game despite some of the skill points being bugged, despite there being some blocking issues, but the fact that it's going to just get better with time, I would give it a 10 out of 10, just like Angry Joe. You know, it's
I agree wholeheartedly.
I can't. Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
if you're talking about mechanical graphics, sound, it's always going to be less than 10 because nothing's ever perfect. But for value for money, you know, you should definitely give this game a try because there is nothing against it that should stop you from going out and buying it for $60.
Alright, I think that's a great place to end this episode on.
Vuvuzela!
Okay, so thanks to Ali for being on this show.
We love you, Ali.
Thank you. I love you guys too.
No doubt she'll be back again in the future at some point.
Woohoo!
So if you want to become a guest speaker on the next episode, all you have to do is go to guildmag.com/involved, and that just involves sending an email to podcast@guildmag.com with a short recording of you just talking about yourself. And also, that email address is where you can send any comments or thoughts about any of the episodes we've covered. So I don't know what we'll be talking about next episode, but I guess we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Get him, Darby! Get him!
Bye, everyone.
Kill! Murder.
I'm in bad